Tutankhamun's Tomb, Egypt, 1922. Archaeologist Howard Carter peers through a tiny hole into a sealed chamber and sees wonderful things. Inside, the nearly intact burial of a teenage pharaoh, dead for 3,300 years. Gold everywhere, a solid gold coffin, a death mask that became the face of ancient Egypt. What made it shocking wasn't just the treasure. It was how complete it was. Most royal tombs had been looted centuries earlier. Tut's wasn't. It gave us an unfiltered window into Egyptian royal burial practices, afterlife beliefs, and craftsmanship at its absolute peak. Pompeii. In 79 AD, Mount Vesuvius erupted and buried an entire Roman city under volcanic ash in under 24 hours. When excavations began in the 1700s, what emerged was unreal. A city frozen mid-moment, bread still in ovens, graffiti on walls, people captured in their final positions, preserved as plaster casts. Pompeii didn't just show us Roman architecture. It showed us how ordinary Romans actually lived, what they ate, how they decorated their homes, what their streets looked like. No text could have told us what one afternoon in Pompeii revealed. The Dead Sea Scrolls. In 1947, a Bedouin shepherd threw a stone into a cave near the Dead Sea and heard pottery shatter. Inside, ancient jars containing scrolls over 2,000 years old. These turned out to be the oldest known manuscripts of the Hebrew Bible, predating the next oldest copies by nearly 1,000 years. They also included texts from Jewish sects that history had completely forgotten. The scrolls rewrote what scholars knew about early Judaism and the world in which Christianity was born. The Terracotta Army, China, 1974. Farmers digging a well near Xi'an hit something hard. What they found was the edge of one of the most staggering archaeological sites in human history, an underground army of over 8,000 life-sized terracotta soldiers, horses, and chariots buried with China's first emperor, Qin Shi Huang, around 210 BC. Every face is unique. Every figure was painted in vivid color. The emperor believed this army would protect him in the afterlife. The scale of the project, decades of labor, thousands of craftsmen, tells us everything about the power and paranoia of China's first ruler. The Rosetta Stone. Without this one rock, ancient Egypt would still be silent. Found by French soldiers in 1799 near the town of Rosetta, this stone slab carried the same decree written in 3 scripts: ancient Egyptian hieroglyphics, Demotic, and Greek. Since scholars could read Greek, they finally had a key to decode hieroglyphics, a writing system that had been completely unreadable for 1,400 years. By 1822, Jean-François Champollion cracked the code. Suddenly, thousands of inscriptions on temple walls, tombs, and papyri could be read. One stone unlocked an entire civilization's voice. Machu Picchu perched 2,430 meters above sea level in the Andes. Machu Picchu was built by the Inca Empire in the mid-1400s, and then completely abandoned less than a century later. When American historian Hiram Bingham was led there in 1911, the outside world had no idea it existed. The site's construction is still mind-bending. Massive stone blocks fitted together without mortar, so precisely that a knife blade can't slide between them. Nobody knows for certain what it was: a royal retreat, a religious site, a military outpost. Troy. For centuries, Homer's Iliad was considered myth. A great story, nothing more. Then, in 1871, Heinrich Schliemann began digging at a hill in northwest Turkey called Hizarlik. What he found beneath it: not one Troy, but 9 cities, stacked on top of each other across thousands of years. One of them, Troy 7, showed signs of violent destruction around 1180 BC, matching the rough timeline of the Trojan War. Schliemann's discovery didn't just validate a legend. It proved that ancient epic poetry could preserve real historical memory, buried under layers of time. Göbekli Tepe. This one rewrote human prehistory. Found in southern Turkey in 1994, Göbekli Tepe is a complex of massive carved stone pillars arranged in circles, and it's 11,600 years old. 6,000 years before Stonehenge, 7,000 years before the pyramids. The problem? It was built by hunter-gatherers. people who weren't supposed to be capable of organized monumental construction. No agriculture, no cities, no writing, yet they carved sophisticated animal reliefs into 6-meter-tall limestone pillars. Göbekli Tepe didn't just push back the timeline of civilization. It forced archaeologists to rethink what prehistoric humans were actually capable of. The Antikythera Mechanism. In 1901, divers salvaging a Roman-era shipwreck off the Greek island of Antikythera pulled up a corroded lump of bronze. Decades later, X-ray imaging revealed what was inside: a fully functioning mechanical computer built around 100 BC. It tracked the movements of the sun and moon, predicted eclipses, and calculated the cycles of the Olympic Games, using a system of interlocking gears so sophisticated, nothing comparable appeared in Europe for another 1,400 years. It completely shattered the assumption that ancient Greeks lacked precision engineering. We had massively underestimated them. The tomb of Scipio and the Sutton Hoo ship burial, England, 1939. A landowner named Edith Pretty allowed archaeologists to dig into a series of mounds on her estate in Suffolk. Inside the largest mound, the ghostly outline of a 27-meter Anglo-Saxon ship, its wood long rotted but its iron rivets still in place. At its center, a burial chamber packed with gold, weapons, and Byzantine silverware belonging to a king. No body was found, likely dissolved by acidic soil. Sutton Hoo gave archaeologists their first real look at early medieval Anglo-Saxon culture, a world previously known almost entirely through the epic poem Beowulf. The Nazca Lines, from the ground, they look like nothing. From the air, they're extraordinary. Etched into the desert floor of southern Peru between 500 BC and 500 AD, the Nazca Lines are massive geoglyphs. A hummingbird, a spider, a monkey, a condor, some stretching over 300 meters, made by removing reddish surface stones to expose lighter ground beneath. They've survived 2,000 years, as the Nazca Desert is one of the driest places on Earth. Nobody knows their purpose. Religious ritual, astronomical calendar, offerings to gods? The lines have resisted every clean explanation, and that's exactly why they still fascinate. Pompeii's sister city, Herculaneum gets overshadowed by Pompeii, but in some ways it's more remarkable. Also buried by Vesuvius in 79 AD, Herculaneum was hit not by ash but by a superheated pyroclastic surge, which carbonized organic material instead of burning it. That means archaeologists found something almost impossible: wooden furniture, food, fabric, and most stunningly, entire scrolls. The Herculaneum papyri are the only surviving library from the ancient world. Many are still unread, sealed shut by heat. But new laser scanning technology is now decoding them line by line, and they may contain lost works of Greek philosophy we thought were gone forever.